Everybody, we are back. It is Tape Don't Lie. It is your favorite Raiders podcast, favorite Raiders channel, favorite Raiders everything. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe, right? And then, if you like it, hit the like button. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button. We are out here. Make sure you guys, if you leave a comment too, like it. If you like it, leave a comment, or if you dislike it, leave a comment as well. And then we got a special guest for the review episode because BD Williams, he's on paternity leave. So you guys reach out to BD on Twitter and congratulate him. He had a nice little baby. I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl, but he did have a baby yesterday. So I want to be wrong.
He did have a baby. It is confirmed. It
is a baby, right? It's a human. But congratulate BD on that. He's on paternity leave. Make sure he's probably still in the hospital right now, actually. So excited for him. So we got Matt Holder. He's going to be breaking down defense this week. M Holder 95. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, and then follow me on Twitter at the Mark John NFL. Right. So Matt, how did you feel about this game after reviewing it, the film, and looking back and seeing everything that happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lot what we talked about on the instant reaction show. I mean, I thought coverage-wise, Raiders did pretty well. I mean, I was even going back and watching. There was one clip that stood out where I think it was Hobbs got called for the PI, and even that was kind of he was in perfect position. He actually only just stumbled and kind of made it look worse than it really was. And pass rush wise, I thought the Raiders did play well. Obviously, Yannick had the 2 sacks and felt like they were getting pressure most of the time. The problem was, what we'll go over and what I kind of wanted to touch on was taking on double teams is a struggle right now. And the Giants are able to have a lot of success with duo. And I got to give the Giants defense, or the Giants coaching staff, a lot of credit. I'll go over this too, but they did a lot of adjustments that kind of kept the Raiders on their toes that had a lot of counter punches that I was not expecting.
Okay. Yeah, because that is super interesting. And it's even more interesting because they're facing another duo team this week, which is the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs run a lot of duo. So, I mean, that they just don't run the ball. So we just hope they don't get into that game where they're going to try to be control football like the Giants tried to. The Giants really went to a ball control type of game where they were just kind of just trying to make sure that they keep the Raiders offense off the field. Right. That was kind of their whole game plan. And we're going to run football, throw short, not try to, not try to make mistakes, because we think our defense can probably control them, which they did. I wouldn't say they controlled them. It's hard for me to say because it was the most frustrating tape I've watched in a minute to watch that offense, because especially in the second half, they kind of just moved the ball at will on the second half. I think at one time they got down the field in 4 plays, right? And they're 4 dump offs to Kenyon Drake, and he just went 30 yards every single time, because that's what the Giants were doing. They're backing up, they're trying to stop the Raiders' explosive plays. And, since they were playing those too high, or then, or switch it up into some cover 3s and giving all different types of looks, especially after Derek Carr threw that pick 6, they got really to the point where they're just we're just gonna move the football. We're not gonna try to get that many explosive plays right now. And they were able to keep moving the football, but then they get to the red zone, and then guy would miss a block, and then he's they're missing somebody. There's or then another guy misses a block or forgets to block somebody, and then he's throwing it out of the end zone, or nobody's open, or they stopped running the ball. It was just they got there and they just got weird. I don't know what happened. I just hope they get back to what they're doing the previous 2 weeks when they got there, because I still think this team can move the football on anybody. And I think they proved that last week. And, Kenyon Drake looked really good. If these teams are going to try to stop the deep ball with the Raiders, he's going to eat in this offense until teams try to come up and try to stop him. And, Deshaun Jackson is going to help too. But it was the red zone this week. I mean, it's basically all it was. But I don't think that it was something I'm going to freak out about with the red zone. I just think they're a good secondary. Raiders have a little bit of trouble separating. And then when they did separate, I mean, Carr missed. And then the other time they did separate, they scored a touchdown. So, and they didn't run the football down there at all, man. The Raiders passed 12 times in the red zone. I think they ran the ball 4 times. Right.
Yeah, that's not the ratio you want.
That's not the ratio you want.
Especially with how they were running the ball too. They had success on the ground, and we talked about it too. It's and then they just got away from it. I mean, I felt like they had 1 or 2 negative runs, and then they just stopped in the red zone. They just stopped running the ball.
Yeah, it was weird. And then you get to that point running the football, and having those short passes, you figure they would keep doing it, but then they would add a screen, right? They try to do a quick screen or like a pop pass or Renfrow or quick screen to Kenyon Drake instead of just playing a little bit of bully ball down there, which they should have, which I believe would have helped them score more touchdowns down there. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into mine. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit of this offense. I'm gonna talk about Hunter Renfrow, and then I'm gonna get in depth to the Andre James because I know there's a little buzz around his PFF grades the last couple of weeks. We'll get into him and how that looks. So let's go ahead and do that.
Let's get it.
Maybe I should pull it up first. Hunter Renfrow route running improvement. So I want to talk about Hunter Renfrow's route running because I mean it caught me off guard a little bit in this game. And I talked about last year about him being able to beat different coverages and being able to be off coverage. And he's just developed as a route runner. I really feel like he's become more of that kind of wiggle guy that you really don't know what he's going to do, but when he wins, he wins. So you see it right here, like the fake right there, like the sell, the eyes, everything that just sells that stop route, that out route, and gives him that separation. And then he's able to track the football. You'll see it from the backside. How he's able to track the football here.
I remember watching this play live, being stoked.
Yeah, man, it's just nasty, right? And
Willie Mays drill.
Yeah, right. Willie Mays, right? And then you see him, one-on-one. This is James Bradbury, one of the best corners in the league, right? Sells a slant, right? Then has the physicality to get back outside. That dude's like 5'9", 170, man, right? So it's just toughness. Right. But you kind of notice, Derek Carr has to kind of wait for him to run his route to get that ball out. Right. I mean, that's kind of a thing that you're going to kind of see with Hunter Renfrow, but you need him to, at this point, in my opinion, he just got to do his thing. I'm not going to be trying to get on him anymore about any of his route running. Just do your thing, Hunter. Be honest after watching this. So, I mean, check this one out. I mean, he's not even the target here. Derek Carr wants Brian Everett on the other side, but look at Hunter Renfrow. Look, he sells it. Right, he's running the corner out. Look at the separation he gets right there. Just sells it against the press, immediate separation. Right. He ends up hurting himself. That would have been probably bad if they end up getting that target, but that was a play he got hurt on. But you see the separation that he has and he can create down there. Right, and then he's with the yak too. You see him with the yak. And what he can do with that, that's what they did the pop pass. Talk about this it was a little too cute. I mean, you rather see Josh Jacobs run down here, but you understand it because how many missed tackles he's forced this year. He's forced a ton, right? So, I mean, that's kind of what his game has been. But when they get him the ball down here, right, they got him on the pop pass. They're probably expecting him to make some plays, and get some good blocking. But you know how that goes, right? And then you see it. You see it here one more time, right? And this is just a choice route. And then, puts a little extra, puts a little extra jab step into it, right? But you also see, like, when Derek Carr is reading what he's doing, the ball also comes out a little late, right? And when you have a improvising route runner, which I believe Hunter Renfrow is at this point, and like I said, I think they have a good enough connection where they can make up for it at most times, but it's not always going to be an anticipation throw, right? And that's going to come up to this next play that I'm gonna show, which is the interception. So we got the Giants are sending a blitz. They're going to do, they look like they're in too high. They're going to switch to Xavier McKinney guarding him, right? So Hunter Renfrow, he's doing his little thing. He jumps up in the air, right? And then you come back to Derek Carr, right? Derek Carr's late with the football, and then of course he just throws a terrible throw late and inside. It's pick six. Right. So, yeah, you want Renfrow to be able to do his thing, but sometimes it's not going to work out because if Derek Carr misses and he's late, it's not going to end up good. Right. But then you see there's a little adjustment. We got the same play right here. The Raiders make a nice little adjustment and they're able to work it out. So, that's why I say they have a good connection where they're able to figure things out, even with, Hunter Renfrow kind of being a little improvisational, with his route running. But you can't. Don't stop, Hunter. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to what I'm saying. All right, so we got Andre James, right? Andre James is getting a little buzz. I would say this is his best run blocking I've seen from him, right? But you still see the high pad level a little bit here. Pad levels is way too high. He's not getting a lot of push, but he got enough push there, right? And you see him again on this one, right? His pad level is still a little high. Gets enough push. Then he's on the ground again, right? But it's just enough. Right, he did enough, got enough push. I think he's better moving laterally. You see, these are all mid-zone runs, right? He's better moving laterally than vertically, and blocking vertically, right? So you're seeing him move laterally. He's having some better blocks, but he's still the pad level and things like that are still a little high. See it one more time. His pad level's high, but 98. He still ever get a push, got a pancake. We got an Andre James pancake guys this week, right? But you see that moving laterally. He's a better blocker, more zone, mid zone, right? Josh Jacobs able to see the cutback and make a cutback block off of that. Mid zone, outside zone, Andre James, he's fine, right? He's fine there. It's just when we get to the inside zone, right? We see inside zone. He's trying to get some push, high pad level, easy shed, about 2 yards, right? That's a defensive stop, right? Because he's not able to, with that high pad level. I mean, his hands aren't bad. It's just when you had high pad level and you don't have the strength, you're going to get shoved around, especially trying to move vertically. And you see it one more time on the power run here. So this is one back power, right? He's got to get some vertical, Leonard Williams goes right by him, but Josh Jacobs is able to make a good play and get about 6 yards. And you see it one more time here, right? And when you're going against Leonard Williams, you got high pad level, it's not going to work. Yeah. So laterally, he's fine. Vertically, he's still the same guy. And then you see in pass protection, he only had like 2 instances where there was somebody over him that rushed him. One of these, Derek Carr got the ball out real quick, but he ends up kind of losing there. Gets help from John Simpson, which then he doesn't help John Simpson on this one, which just bothers me. It's like, block somebody, Andre. Like, what are you doing? Block somebody. There's Leonard Williams, right? And then ends up getting pressure. Derek Carr throws it out of bounds because he's under pressure, right? So I thought Andre James had his best game as a run blocker, but you still see the limitations there and how, like, in different run games, like he's a different offensive lineman. And but I still think he's getting better. I'll give him that. He's getting better. He is. He's developing a little bit. I still think he has limitations. Could he develop into an average NFL center? It seems that way, right? I think that's probably basically what he is right now. I think he's been playing well against some teams that haven't been trying to, I would say, like, attack him pretty much, right? I think people are trying to attack Alex Leatherwood. They still think Alex Leatherwood is the weak spot. So people, they're doing like a lot of 3 technique alignments. They're not really having somebody go after Andre James at this point. So he's doing more help. He's not really, he's picking up stunts and stuff really well, but there's not much of just coming right at him. And then they're doing a lot more lateral stuff this past game, not as much inside zone. If they do inside zone, it's more split zone. So there's a little bit more of a lateral movement on that one. So, the running game is just a lot better, just being called better, in my opinion. It's more what you're doing. But go ahead, man.
I was just going to ask you if I remember watching from one of your episodes before, is like the emphasis on mid and wide zone been definitely improved since or increased since Olsen's taken over?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the mid zone, wide zone, those the outside zone type of looks, and that's why you're seeing Jacobs run a whole lot better.
Right,
Jacobs looks a whole lot better, especially running the mid zone. I think they kind of found his groove with that because he's able to read it, and he's able to, he likes to bounce. He's not a power back. I think he runs people over, like when he gets to checkdowns and stuff like that, and people go like, oh my God, he's just gonna run people over. But when he's actually running with the football in between the tackles, he tries to be like a finesse Barry Sanders guy all the time. Yeah. He doesn't just run behind his pads without the power that he has in his legs. So that I like to see. So I think running the mid zone and the outside zone where he can just kind of, read and do his jump cuts and stuff like that, it's a better fit for him all around though.
And then I was curious, when you're talking about Hunter Renfrow, is one of the bigger problems like they're running a lot of choice routes, and is that part of it where like maybe him and Derek Carr, like you're talking about, where Derek's just not 100% sure where he's going to be, and on that pick they make the adjustment of curling it up instead of taking the out? Is that kind of been the common theme throughout the year?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think sometimes when Renfrow can get too into it, I think, especially early on when like Leatherwood's back there. Next thing you know, he has somebody on his lap.
Yeah,
was playing right tackle, right? And he didn't have time to adjust. And like the Chargers game was a big one where, at that last play when he went viral whenever, Hunter Renfrow was doing a lot of shake and bake, and right, and then Carr is getting sacked. So yeah, there's a little bit to that, but at this point, to me, if he's winning, though, he's beating James Bradbury 1-on-1. What are you gonna do? You gonna get mad about that? Like,
yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, it's always like towing the line of like, how much do I coach this guy? You know what I mean? Like if you're a coach, it's like, how much do I do my job with this guy?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's because once I saw him do a Bradbury like that, I was okay. I'm leaving you alone. Go ahead and do your thing, bro. Like I'm not gonna bother you anymore. But I think that goes back to the red zone too. Like if he could separate like that, maybe we should do more things with him, in the red zone. And
be interesting.
He had that touchdown and he was able to work one-on-one and get open against a really good corner. I think that should be part of it going into it. And I know he's small and it's maybe he can't do like the fades and stuff like that, but if he can do jerk routes and he can create,
if he can get open that way.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And like they can do like misdirections and stuff like that with him.
See what happens. Well, awesome, man.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? I mean, offensive thoughts that you had or anything?
Not really. I mean, I was curious kind of like if you notice a difference between Carr between the 20s and then in the red zone, if he was doing anything differently or anything like that he'd been doing differently in the past.
I will say this. I will say Carr the red zone. I just think sometimes he can go through his reads too fast.
Gotcha.
That he gets his reads and his eyes move faster in the red zone. Like, I mean, there's some plays where like, the play to Darren Waller. I mean, you can make the case that if he just holds Logan Ryan and then, tries to hit Edwards in the back of the end zone. I make the case. I don't know if Edwards is going to come down with it. That's a tough catch, but I mean, he was coming at that angle where if you throw it to the back of the end zone, I mean, Logan Ryan maybe could jump and touch it, but you also could maybe get a great play where like, Edwards is getting his feet down or something like that. Right. And you make a play, but the smarter decision was to go to Waller. Right. But I mean, and then there's a play to Waller too on the second, I don't know. I think at the red zone the whole game. So I don't know. I think it was the fourth one. And he wants Waller on a quick post, right? And they run the same play again on the last play, and he ends up fumbling because the same thing happens. That was frustrating too. But they ran the same play, but on the first time they ran it, Darren Waller is a quick slant, and then the safety comes up, right, and kind of blocks it. But I still think, I mean, you're in the red zone. I think Derek Carr could have held it and kind of threw it to the back of the end zone. I mean, it's things like that, right? So yeah, it's the right thing. Like you're playing quarterback, you see a guy come, you come off it, right? Like that's the right thing. But like, I think you just got to be a little bit more of a playmaker down there, right?
Gotcha.
I think that's what it is. You get like he gets too quarterbacky. Like there's times where he's not inside the 20s when I want him to get quarterback guy, but like down there, I think you can't get too much into boom, 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 read, right? You gotta make a little bit more plays, I guess.
For sure.
That's my
well, awesome, man.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the defensive side of
things? Let's get to the defense, man. Let's do that.
Well, awesome, man. So obviously BD, he's kind of the coverage guy, the DB master. It's not my specialty. I figured rather than try and replace him and try and do what BD does, I figured I'd stick with my specialty, which is defensive line play. And I think it's a pretty fitting for this week because the biggest problem on the Raiders had defensively was stopping the run. But anyway, so what we're going to go over was kind of the Giants attack with duo and how they kind of got the Raiders. That was definitely one of the biggest things that the Raiders struggled to stop was this duo look. And I got to give the Giants credit. We'll go over it a lot in our study here, but the Giants gave the Raiders a ton of different looks, ton of different counters. Raiders started countering and Raiders had some success with their counters, but obviously the Giants ended up figuring it out towards the end of the game. But this first play here, this is going to be on the first drive, and it kind of speaks to what we were talking about the other day too, which is why I wanted to bring it up, where the defensive line, part of their problem is they're getting a little bit too much penetration in some spots, partially because they're playing the pass first, and we're going to see that here. The biggest players I want you guys to watch are going to be the 77 here, Quentin Jefferson, and then Max Crosby here. So like I said, the Giants are going to run duo out of this. And the Raiders do a pretty good job of picking it up. If you notice Max Crosby, he's dominating his block right here. He's kind of putting 79 on skates right here. And that's great. But part of the problem is he's not getting on inside leverage or on an edge. He's still kind of washed up. See how you can kind of barely see him in there in that corner right there. And then the other problem is if we watch Quentin Jefferson, he's going to end up getting pushed back. I'll let this run a little bit. About 3-4 yards down the field. And so with Crosby pushing his man vertically, and then Jefferson getting pushed back the other way vertically. Now Devontae Booker, almost called him Devontae Adams, has all this space to hit this cutback lane on the other side. So Luckily, what happens on this play is KJ Wright's going to get off his block, but I'm going to back this up a little bit. Now, let's just say for a second, KJ Wright does not get off his block here. That's going to be a big run right there, which thank God that happens. But that kind of speaks to what we were talking about the other day with, again, the Raiders defensive line. They're playing the pass. They're getting up the field, which is great. They're dominating this block. Max Crosby does his job, but it's just not quite 100% there. And because of Quentin Jefferson, which is going to be a common theme we'll see here on this next clip, ends up being a 8-7 yard play for the Giants and easy money. All right. And I wanted to show this one too, because it's again going to be another example of kind of how Quentin struggles to take on double teams. And in this one, it's going to be a different look. Obviously, the Giants are going to be in a bone formation here. And what the Raiders do to adjust to it is they're going to bring 9 guys in the box. We've got our 4 linebackers, 4 down linemen, and like Brandon Faced here over down since there's no receiver threat. And the other thing is the Giants are going to have this other extra lineman in at tight end. Obviously, a pretty good tell that it's going to be a run. And again, we're going to see everyone on the Raiders defense do a pretty good job here. I mean, we got Max Crosby coming inside on 79, forcing the running back to bounce, taking away that inside lane. KJ Wright does a good job as the 4th player on this lead blocker here, number 39. Force that back inside. You see he reduces that gap. And then we got Denzel Perryman coming over on the other side to take on that other lead blocker. And this really should be a negative play. And we'll see Jonathan Abrams squirt through on the backside. This really should be a TFL or even a tackle for no gain. But the problem is, we'll see again right here, our 3 technique is getting demolished on this double team. And that gives a little bit more room. And that ends up turning into 4 or 5 yard gain for the Giants. Not the end of the world. We'll live with that. Gus Bradley's defense will live with taking 4 or 5 yard gains on the ground. But it does lead to a 3rd and 1, which is going to come up big on this next play. All right. Again, Giants got 7 yards on what should have been a tackle for loss on this last play, which leads to a 3rd and 1. Now, like I said before, the Raiders did a pretty good job of, in that reduced formation, being able to shorten the field a little bit on the Giants, plug up all their gaps. So what the Giants do to respond is they're going to go and basically 13 personnel and basically run a goal line offense out there and kind of spread them out, right? Force these linebackers a little bit wider. And then they're just going to run duo off of it. And again, Max Crosby again beats his block here on the backside. We get a pretty good job on the backside double team. That's about what you're looking for from a double team. Nice stalemate here. I believe that's Hankins. Yep. Hankins on Hernandez and Billy Price. Problem is, over here, we're going to have the double team. Again, Quentin Jefferson going to get washed out of his gap all the way to basically, this is the center right here. This was the guard, and now he's back into the linebacker. So he's washed out of the play. And then the other problem here is Yannick's actually going to do a pretty good job initially against this tight end, number 82 here. He's going to reset him in the backfield. But it's kind of the same thing we saw with Max Crosby on that other play. He's still no extension, fighting head-to-head, hat on a hat. That's kind of what you want offensively, especially if this is a tight end versus a defensive lineman, not on an edge. And so he's going to lose gap contain. And then Booker goes off for another 20-yard game, ends up setting up the Giants touchdown on that one, a couple plays later to Jonathan Abram on that goal line. All right. So now I know what you're thinking probably at this point. Probably thinking, well, if Quentin Jefferson's not getting it done, maybe we put in Solomon Thomas, see what he can do. He was a better run defender out in San Francisco. Well, here we're going to see Solomon Thomas again in this 3 technique on the over front from the Raiders. Giants are going to run duo again. Let's see here. And this time, Solomon Thomas actually picks Corey Littleton. And again, started out about the middle of the NFL logo, finishes on the hash next to the center. And then the other part of this too is we watched Jonathan Abram. This was probably Jonathan Abram's worst game of the season. I don't know why he adjusts to this motion. If you notice this motion, strength hasn't changed. Tight end still over here. And the other thing too is watch Corey Littleton and Denzel Perryman. All they do is step forward. So all they're doing really now is saying, okay, we're pretty sure it's run right now. We'll play a little closer to the line of scrimmage. And I don't know why Jonathan Abrams still has plenty of time to get over into that B gap. Jonathan Hankins, that's a big ass to miss in the A gap. Yeah. This A gap is filled. No one's in the B gap. and boom, it's another 30-yard run.
Wow.
This was honestly, it was hard to watch on Abram because he's a guy that I've been rooting for hard this year. I think a lot of Raider fans are rooting for hard this year, but this was his worst game. And that was going back to last year where it's like, dude, you got to know where you fit in on the run fit. I mean, again, motion screws with them. And that's something, again, against the Chiefs, like we were talking about. Chiefs love motion. Chiefs love running duo. Jonathan Abram's going to be in the box. He's got to stay home with that backside B gap. All right. So now we're going to get into a little bit to what the Raiders started to do to adjust to get those to avoid basically having those double teams against duo. If you notice before they were in overfront, now they're in the underfront over here with Solomon Thomas playing on the 3 technique on the weak side. Jonathan Hankins playing a 2-eye technique over on the strong side. And what that's going to do is that's going to force the double team over to Clelin Ferrell over here. And then this double team is basically negated because Solomon Thomas is already lined up where the center wants him to go. I mean, you're going to see the center step weak with like he's supposed to on duo and go for the double team, but it doesn't matter because the Raiders are already in that. And the other thing I love about this, or what they did, this little wrinkle, is this sets up the one-on-one block for Jonathan Hankins, the Raiders' best run defender, or at least best run defending defensive lineman, one-on-one with the guard. If you notice here, Hankins is able to blow that up. What that does is this just cuts the field in half. Jonathan Hankins just putting the team on his back and saying, guys, I got the run. You guys over here on the left, Corey Littleton, Carl Nassib, Solomon Thomas, you guys don't have to worry about anything. And basically takes away any sort of cutback run lane. And the other thing about it, he blows this block up so bad that Devontae Booker has to kind of sidestep his own offensive lineman, slows him up a little bit. That allows Carl Nassib to come in on the backside. Now, we don't get a great effort from Clelin Ferrell here on the double team. Kind of disappointed in Cleveland. Not the worst thing in the world, but at the end of the day, you still can't be losing about 2 yards down the field. And then again, kind of a common theme. This was also probably Denzel Perryman's worst game, at least against the run. I think actually, if you go look at his PFF grade, surprisingly, he had a higher grade in coverage and played better in coverage than he did against the run, which has been the opposite of what we've seen. But it's the same thing. I mean, Clelin Ferrell, he's not doing a great job against this double team. He has the B gap. KJ Wright has the C gap. We got Hayward here on the outside as the alley player in case it bounces. Denzel Perryman needs to play this way more aggressively and get his ass right here in the A gap, which is exactly where Booker runs. And again, instead of being a no gain of tackle for loss, it ends up being a chunk play for the Giants. Not the end of the world, but something that's going to have to get fixed moving forward.
Yeah.
All right. So again, we're going to see this under front this time with Quentin Jefferson over at the 3 technique. Oh yeah, this was beautiful. And Darius Philon over here on the 2-eye technique. So we'll play this. The biggest difference right here is going to be watch Max Crosby taking on this double team versus the other, 3 or 4 examples we've seen before.
Yeah.
Stalemate. This is defending duo to a T, and it's about as best as you can. The other person watched Darius Philon. This time, center again, he's going to step weak like he should on duo. But again, it doesn't matter because Quentin Jefferson's basically already where he should be. And then Philon gets the one-on-one block. Again, cut field in half. These 3 dudes, they don't even have to worry about anything. Yannick Ngakoue, he can go get up the field. He can go rush the passer. Corey Littleton, he can sit back and make sure it's not a pass. And then this time, biggest difference is now we see Denzel Perryman. He attacks. He goes in this A gap, forces the bounce. Brandon Faison right there. 2-yard game. Perfect. You can't defend duo much better than that. That's what you're looking for right there. What the Giants did before, so the Raiders we can see are still in that under front. Again, trying to get this one-on-one block with Jonathan Hankins on this guard so that he can cut the field in half. But what the Giants did, what I give them a lot of credit, is they said, like I keep talking about, this guy's already where they want him to be. This defensive tackle is already widened out. They've already kind of created this natural gap, especially if no one's going to come fill this A gap or a linebacker is. So what they started to do is they're going to have the center work strong, and that basically cut Jonathan Hankins' momentum off. As you can see, it's a lot different. Now, if I'm the Giants running back coach, I'm screaming at Devontae Booker for this one, because this to me is a clear, dude, just cut back A. That'd be a hard play for Jonathan Hankins to make. I mean, that's not even his gap. That's Corey Littleton's gap. But even so, we're going to see Carl Nassib. He's going to take on the double team. Unfortunately, not like Crosby. Again, not the end of the world, but not a very good rep. It ends up being we'll see our subject earlier, Quentin Jefferson in there, getting in there and mixing in, getting on the play. So we at least know we can get off the single blocks, but another Another wrinkle that started giving the Raiders a little bit more trouble. Yes, this one was getting towards the end of the game. I think this was the Giants' last scoring drive where they're kind of bleeding the clock. Raiders were down 4 at this point. And what we're going to see on this play, on this one, what the Raiders started to do to combat that, the center working strong on the duo, is they started slanting to the strength into the offensive line. Gus Bradley was basically saying, we're going to throw off these angles so that we can kind of beat the duo look, which unfortunately I didn't grab a clip of, probably should have, but mistake on my part. But then what the Giants did to kind of counteract that is they got in this same look, this same, two tight end, single wing look where they've been killing the Raiders on duo all day. So what does Gus Bradley do? It's like, well, they started double teaming my 1 technique instead of my 3 technique. So my counter to that was to start slanting, and that started working. So what I got to do when they get in this look is we got to go auto slant strong. Well, again, credit to the Giants. What they're going to do is they're actually going to run an inside zone read op, have these 2 tight ends arc release to go block for Daniel Jones if he reads it. And then they're just going to leave Cleveland Farrell as the read man, and the Raiders just slant right into the way the Giants want to block this up. I mean, there's not really a dominating block. Sure, Jonathan Hankins is losing here on this double team again, but again, he's slanting this way. That makes it a lot easier for this guard to get around him, a lot easier for that tackle to get around him too on the scoop block. And then it ends up going for another 10-yard gain, puts the Giants in field goal position. And then the very next play, again, credit to the Giants, credit to their coaching staff for making the adjustment. Giants come back out just now, not in the gun, use that same single wing just with the extra tight end, or just the extra offensive lineman instead of a natural tight end. And they come back and they run duo again because the Raiders aren't looking for it. Jonathan Hankins back in the 1 technique. He's thinking he's getting double teamed. Giants go back to slanting weak with their center. So Jonathan Hankins doesn't quite get, probably a little tired at this point too, doesn't quite get that same dominating effort that we saw against Will Hernandez before. Carl Nassib, again, washed down on the double team. But the biggest problem here, Brandon Faison, unlike that play we saw before, misses the tackle. Now it's a chip shot. And that was basically the ball game for the Raiders.
Yeah. All right, man. That was good. That was dope, bro. Very very in depth. Like I was expecting all the depthness there, man. That was awesome.
Man.
Yeah, man. I thought you definitely showed what's kind of the issue with the Raiders and why they're just not getting any. They're not getting the push, and the linebackers aren't feeling like they need to be, and all those issues with the run game. It's tough because a lot of these teams don't run the football. I mean, I think the Bengals and the Cowboys, they run the football pretty well. So, I mean, there aren't duo teams though, but they do run the ball pretty well. They still, those teams want to pass too.
Yeah. And that is the good news too, is like we were talking about at the beginning, like Raiders pass defense. I mean, that was probably one of their better games coverage wise. And I think they did all right. I mean, it's not great against inside zone, but they've gotten a lot better. So it was really the duos that I noticed the most in those double teams. I mean, their defensive tackles right now, even Jonathan Hankins was getting beat a little bit on the doubles, but it's just, that's what's killing them right now is they can't, every play there's, 3 offensive linemen getting like 3 yards down the field. So, and it's hard to play linebacker when you got someone in your lap every play.
Yeah. Especially like the one where, Corey Littleton, he gets backed up a little bit there, but Jonathan Abram kind of, he was freelancing again, which he can't be trying to make a play. I mean, I know they needed some plays to be made in that game. So let me ask you this: what do you think the Giants were doing on third down in that game to kind of, because the Raiders were really good in third down like the whole season, and that was probably the worst game on third down all year.
I think the biggest thing was they were getting in third and shorts, what we were talking about before. Like they were kind of getting in those like 3rd and 3s, and then they were doing a lot of what I was talking about, that one clip on that 3rd and 1 where they got in those more 12 personnel looks that kind of spread the Raiders out and forced them to play downhill. Didn't let the linebackers kind of scrape over the top and kind of let the defense make the defensive line make the defensive line right, which is kind of what they are built to do. So that was, I think, the biggest thing is I feel like the Raiders or the Giants had a game plan of get to 3rd and short, kind of the old adage of run to, or we'll get 7 yards on 1st and 2nd down and then go from there.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the biggest thing, is they were able to spread them out, and then they just dink and dunked them throughout the game. And even when the Giants did try and drop back and pass, which was really more on like second and long was kind of their money down to go try and push the ball down the field.
Yeah.
The Raiders pass rush was able to get there. I mean, Yannick Ngakoue had his big day, and even some of their interior guys were able to get to Daniel Jones and at least put some pressure on him. So
yeah. I mean, it was a good defensive performance. You know, you kind of just wish it was more like a great one. You know, you wish it ended up being a great one, because I mean, the offense needed a great performance, and you know, even in the games where like they've played good defense, you know, like the Chargers game, and you know, those games, I mean, they haven't had a full-on dominant game yet.
No, like not at all.
Team to like 3 points, or like, you know, holding the team under 10 points. I mean, that's kind of the next step that we want to see. I mean, I know they're 15th in points, which is a whole lot better than we've ever seen, right? I mean, it's the better defense that we've ever seen, right? I mean, so that's the thing, like, you know,
for sure.
The curve that we get excited for them, you know, is there, but you definitely wanted to see them, you know, once the Raiders, like, especially after the pick six, and then they went back and they got a field goal made at 17-16 on that 3rd and 8. You definitely want, especially there's 2 on, I think, on that drive, you wanted to see them get off the field so the Raiders can get the ball back and, you know, not let them score at all anymore. Kind of thing you wanted to see. But like, I mean, it's better than before, I guess. So I guess it's kind of how you gotta look at it. Yeah,
it's definitely better than before. It's just like we were talking about before. You know, the Raiders defense, they don't want to play from behind in the 4th quarter. They want to play with the lead. They want to, you know, they're built to force teams to throw. They're built to have an offense put up points, like we keep saying. And you know, that's been the way they've stopped the run in the past, and just can't happen when you start slow and can't score in the red zone.
Yeah. I mean, that's the. I think it's gonna be different this week. I kind of feel that way. I think we kind of slept on the Giants' secondary more than their defense. I mean, their defense is pretty legit. I mean, there wasn't a lot of stuff for Derek Carr to hit. Just, you know, it was a lot of him going to 2nd and 3rd reads, which even though like you want a quarterback who's able to do that, you don't want your quarterback doing that like every down, like every time he's going back and then, you know, especially when he got like aggressive. I mean, the stupidest play was when he changed it. That the pick he threw to Zay Jones, like he changed that play. He like he saw a blitz and then he made some call. Like, why are you making a call to Zay Jones? Like, why are you? What are you doing?
That's his boy, man.
All the guys, to all the guys, and it only looked better because James Bradbury, he doesn't fake out James Bradbury, but then Bradbury slips like after he starts to run with him, he slips late, and that's why it looked like Zay Jones is even open when the ball's coming. He wasn't open at all. It was one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen Carr make. Like it just bothered me because he like made the check to him. Like, we're gonna get this Zay. Like, you're gonna get James Bradbury. Like, come on. Bro.
Almost like a little. It almost kind of sounds like a little bit too much like hero ball a little bit, because at that point, like the Raiders were struggling all game.
Down,
it's just
bro.
like
first down, 2016, first down. Yeah. Kenyon Drake's wide open for a check down, just wide open, just waiting for it, and he just wanted to. Let's go win this game.
Hey, man.
I mean,
everyone wanted Carr to be more aggressive, I guess, right?
Yeah, but it's like, come on, right then though, man, you guys can't score. Yeah. You know, I guess it's just more like game situation to me. Like, we can't score. Maybe we should just, you know, keep going and try to score instead of being like, you know, especially Zay. I mean, if it was like Michael Crabtree or somebody, I mean, it's Zay Jones, so you know.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than that's his boy, man. He loves Zay. Him and Zay are like I feel like I feel like if you could pick like one receiver on the Raiders roster for like Derek Carr to want to be the number one guy, like talent aside, would be Zay Jones, because like they're just always hanging out, they're always working out, like they're out at the fields and doubling over when they're out in Oakland, taking videos out in Vegas together. That's just Zay surprisingly has his trust more than like anybody else that's left on the roster.
Yeah, because that was half,
except for maybe Waller.
That was half the red zone problem. Is that like some of those plays are like called for him, and like he couldn't get open at all.
Yeah,
and then you know, Carr's trying to get to other places and stuff. I'm like, bro, come on, what are we doing here? I guess it's kind of like, you know, because he really didn't make any plays besides that. So I don't know. It was fun. That was the most frustrating part of that game. I'm gonna do it on the Carfax, but that was the most frustrating part of the game for me is when he saw the blitz coming, which is great because I think they're gonna run the ball, right, Matt? They're gonna run the football.
Oh, really?
Right? They're under center. They're about to run the football. He sees the blitz. He checks out of it. He looks at Zay Jones. Does this. It just. I couldn't stand it. But anyways, all right, guys. I think it's a couple things. I never seen him really do that before.
Gotcha.
Like, that was like the first time I've ever seen him like, and it's like, man, you have that much confidence in him that just.
That was probably a signal they only have together, right? That's not like a signal that he has with every other receiver.
Yeah,
that's a special signal. That's a special route.
I've never seen him do anything like that to anybody else. I've been watching in this offense, or like, whatever. If you say it's Green's offense or like Greg Olsen had any part of it, it's kind of the same thing, right? I've never seen him like check out of something like a run, call a double move, and then try to throw a touchdown, like no matter what. Like Zay Jones is gonna like make the play of the day. It was gonna like jump and like catch it and then run it for 6. It was just, I mean, it was like Odell Beckham, like that stuff makes more sense. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
not a guy who's had 20 catches in 3 years. All right, any last thoughts, Matt?
No, man, I think I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
No problem, man. That was awesome. I loved your breakdown, dude. Breaking down that D line. I think the fans are really gonna like that, man. It's really in depth. So I really like that. And then this week I'm probably gonna do an extra red zone breakdown this week, guys. I'm probably gonna do one tonight because I know that's like the big topic. I see everybody, they're 27th in red zone efficiency. So like, so I know that's the topic of the week.
That's
go ahead.
I will say, I was going to say, like, I was doing research for something else, but went for another article, and they went from 17th to 27th in just the week. Like, that's kind of getting blown out of proportion a little bit. It's like, yes, they are 27th, but they dropped 10 spots because it was just abnormally bad this week. So guys, statistics, regression to the mean, it'll come back up. They'll be like 10 for 10 this week, or hopefully
or something like that. I mean, the two previous weeks, they're 67%. So, I mean, because going into the Broncos game, they were 23rd. So there you go. I mean, they went down a lot from the previous 2 games, and I don't know what happened, because the previous 2 games, man, I mean, the Broncos game, they passed in the red zone 1 time. They ran the ball 5 times and scored 2 touchdowns.
I ain't got anything for you, but I don't know what to tell you.
And even the Eagles game, the only reason they have more passes in the Eagles game is because the last drive before halftime, they got down there and they passed 3 times.
Yeah.
Right. And
gotcha.
Other than that, they just ran the ball in the red zone. That game, they had like 4 runs and 2 touchdowns. There you go. So like, that's how
they learned what not to do.
Exactly. So hopefully they just get back to that, and they get back to running the ball down there. But all right, guys, thanks for listening. Make sure you, like I said, follow us on Twitter, mholy95. I'm the Mark John NFL. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Go ahead. I got the Carfax still coming on Friday, so check that out. I know Rick Grimes is coming back. I know Rick Grimes, he's my car troll. Every time Carr has a bad game, Rick Grimes comes with his little Rick Grimes AVI, and he wants to let me know how bad Carr is. I know he's back. He's coming back, guys. He's been gone for 2 weeks. I know he's coming back. He's going to give me some vitriol. He's going to let me know that Carr is terrible, and I don't know what I'm looking at, and Mariota should be playing. So I'm excited for him to come. And then, so go ahead, check that out, guys, Friday. And then, what I'm saying? Check out, Matt's podcast, Holders Handfuls. Go ahead, check that out. I think you got something dropping Friday. Get the injury report stuff going.
Yep. So, news on Friday, scouting report on Wednesday. So Wednesday, the scouting is out.
Yeah. So you got the scouting with the Giants, right?
Yep. Chiefs.
Yeah. Chiefs, Arrowhead addicts over there. Probably making jokes behind my back because they're Chiefs fans, but it's fine. It's all right. It's all right, guys. Whatever. But yeah, make sure you check that out. Go ahead, check that out today. And download that. And make sure you guys check out all our podcasts and everything on the Silver and Black Pride Network. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Peace.